Welcome to Reddit Revenge Stories. Did you know over 90% of people watch these videos but don't subscribe? If you enjoy stories of justice and payback, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to like the video if you're ready for today's story. Let's get to the story. My name is Brian, and I've always thought of myself as a simple man. I worked hard, paid the bills, and never asked for more than loyalty and honesty from the woman I married. Her name was Alicia, and for 12 years, I believed we were a team. We met in college. She was ambitious, bright-eyed, with dreams bigger than my small-town sensibilities could fully grasp. I was studying mechanical engineering. She was into marketing and communications. Somehow, despite our differences, we clicked. I admired her drive. She said she loved my steadiness. We moved in together just after graduation and got married the following year. We bought a modest house in a quiet neighborhood and settled into what I thought was a content, peaceful life. I work as a plant supervisor for a manufacturing company. Long hours, sure, but I've always made time for Alicia. I'd be dead tired after a double shift, but if she wanted to talk, I'd listen. If she needed something, I'd find a way to get it. Maybe that was my first mistake, giving too much and never asking for anything in return. I didn't realize I was slowly becoming invisible in my own home. The first cracks appeared around the time she got her new job at a local PR firm. She came home late more often, started talking about her boss, Derek, a little too much. At first, I thought nothing of it. People talk about their coworkers, but then she stopped sharing details, just said work was stressful or exhausting, and didn't want to talk about it. She became distant, distracted. Our conversations became shorter. Her phone, once left carelessly around the house, was now always with her. Face down, silent, locked. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I gave her space. I told myself maybe she was just going through something. Everyone has rough patches. But then came the lies, small ones at first. She'd say she was out with friends, but her friends would post photos and she wouldn't be in them. Or she'd say she was working late. But when I stopped by her office one evening with coffee and dinner, the place was dark, closed. I tried to talk to her. I sat her down one night and asked her if everything was okay. She smiled, touched my hand, and said she was just tired. Work stress, she said. You wouldn't understand. I tried to believe her, I really did. But her touch didn't feel the same anymore. It was like she was comforting me out of obligation, not affection. It wasn't until a month later that I found proof. I came home early from work after one of my guys got hurt on the job and the plant shut down for the day. I walked into the house and found her phone on the kitchen counter, unlocked. That never happened. I should have walked away, respected her privacy. But something in me snapped. I looked at her messages, and there they were. Texts between her and someone named D. The conversation wasn't graphic, but it didn't need to be. I miss you already. Last night was perfect. I hate going home to him. That last one felt like a knife in the gut. That was me she was talking about. Her husband. The man who gave her everything. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I made copies. Screenshots, backups, cloud uploads. I needed to be smart. Emotional, rash decisions are what people regret. I took a few days to cool off. I acted normal, smiled, kissed her goodnight, asked about her day. Meanwhile, I was planning. Not just how to confront her, but how to make sure this betrayal wouldn't end with me being the one left broken. I did more digging. I hired a private investigator. It felt extreme, but I needed the full picture. Within 2 weeks, I had everything. Photos of them together at restaurants. Him picking her up outside our house when I was at work. Hotel receipts, even a video of them holding hands in a park, laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. It was surreal watching her live a second life while I was home folding her laundry and cooking dinner. Her lover Derek was her boss. Married, 2 kids, a clean public image. But now I had leverage, not just over Alicia, but over him too. Still, I waited. Revenge isn't about explosions. It's about precision, patience. I began laying the groundwork. I contacted Derek's wife anonymously, sent her the photos and evidence. She deserved to know, just like I did. Then I reached out to a reporter friend of mine. Nothing published yet, but just enough to plant the seed. Derek had a lot riding on his reputation. Then came the night I confronted Alicia. I made dinner, her favorite steak and red wine. I let her talk about her day, watched her lie right to my face with ease. When she asked me what was new with me, I smiled and said, "Actually, there's something I've been meaning to show you." I pulled out a folder and placed it on the table. Her face changed instantly. She reached for it with trembling fingers, flipped through the photos, the transcripts. She didn't say a word for a long time. Finally, she looked up at me and whispered, "How long have you known?" "Long enough," I said. "Long enough to understand that the woman I married doesn't exist anymore." She started crying, saying she was sorry, that it was a mistake, that she never meant to hurt me. She said it just happened, that she felt lost, unloved. I didn't buy it. You don't accidentally have an affair for 6 months. You make choices. She made hers. And now it was my turn. I told her I wanted a divorce. She begged me to reconsider, said we could go to therapy. I stayed calm. I told her I already had a lawyer, that I would make this as easy as possible if she cooperated. But if she didn't, if she tried to lie, manipulate, or take what wasn't hers, I'd make everything public. Every message, every photo. I had already prepared documents, already had friends in place who could spread the story like wildfire. I wasn't bluffing, and she knew it. She moved out 2 days later, quietly, no dramatic goodbyes, just silence. I could tell she was scared, not just of losing me, but of what else she might lose. Her job, her image. Derek's downfall had already started. His wife filed for divorce. His company began investigating him. The dominoes were falling, and all I had to do was watch. But I wasn't done yet. This wasn't about revenge for revenge's sake. This was about balance, making sure no one else would ever mistake my kindness for weakness again. After Alicia left, the house felt like a stranger to me. The silence wasn't peaceful, and it was heavy, like a fog that never lifted. I'd lived in that home for over a decade. We had painted those walls together, hung up photos, built memories. But now all those memories felt fake. They were stained by the realization that half of them had been made during a time when she was already lying to me. I boxed up the wedding photos first. Couldn't look at them anymore. Her smile haunted me. I'd look into her eyes in those pictures and think, were you already planning your escape? Was this just convenience for you? There were so many unanswered questions, but I wasn't desperate for answers anymore. I just wanted control back. My divorce attorney Sheila was sharp, cold when she needed to be, but with a calm demeanor that made people underestimate her. She was exactly who I needed. I gave her everything I'd gathered, every text, timestamp, photo, and hotel receipt. Her eyes widened more than once as she skimmed through the evidence. She looked at me and said, "You've done half my work for me. This is going to be clean and costly for her." Alicia, on the other hand, had no idea what was coming. She assumed I'd just walk away quietly, maybe lick my wounds and disappear. That's what people like her count on, shame and silence. But I wasn't ashamed. I was betrayed, sure. Angry, absolutely, but defeated, not even close. I stayed calm and civil throughout the legal process. Every court hearing, every document we signed, I kept my cool. She cried in front of the judge a few times, gave speeches about how she never wanted to hurt anyone. It didn't move me, not anymore. The court granted me the house, most of our joint assets, and even temporary control over her vehicle until the property division finalized. She walked out with far less than she came in with. She'd earned it in a way. She didn't even fight me on it much. Not after Sheila quietly let Alicia's attorney know that I was considering sharing everything with Alicia's firm. I wasn't bluffing, and they knew it. Meanwhile, Derek's life was unraveling publicly. His wife, Lisa, wasn't just furious, she was thorough. She filed a restraining order. She emptied their joint accounts before he could. She even contacted his company's board of directors with a neat little package of evidence. I didn't share any of that with her. She got it all herself. But I may have pointed her in the right direction. No lies, just the truth. Let it do its damage. His company began a formal ethics investigation. He was suspended pending review, but Everyone knew what that meant. A man who once gave motivational talks at leadership seminars was now persona non grata. I didn't feel sorry for him. He gambled a marriage and a career for a thrill, and lost both. I'd like to say that life returned to normal after that, but it didn't. Something inside me had shifted. It wasn't bitterness. I wasn't sitting at home plotting ways to hurt Alicia more. I wasn't consumed with hate, but I was different. Colder, maybe. Wiser, definitely. I no longer took people's words at face value. I observed, listened, waited. Alicia tried contacting me a few times, sent long emails, apologies, remorse, said she missed us, said she wanted to talk. I never responded. What was there to say? I didn't hate her, but I no longer trusted her, and without trust, there's nothing left to rebuild. One day, about 4 months after she moved out, I ran into her at a grocery store. She looked different, tired, smaller somehow, like life had squeezed the shine out of her. She smiled nervously and asked me how I was. I just nodded, told her I was doing well, and I was, mostly. She mentioned she was renting a small apartment now, said work had been awkward since Derek got fired. I didn't engage much, just polite, shallow conversation. She tried to reach deeper, asked if I ever missed her. I looked her dead in the eye and said, I miss the person I thought you were. That person never existed. She didn't say much after that. I walked away feeling not victorious, but at peace. I realized in that moment that she didn't destroy me, she just exposed herself. I had been loyal, faithful, consistent. Her betrayal didn't define me, it defined her, and I wasn't going to carry that weight anymore. But the story didn't end there. You see, revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about elevation, about rising so far above the people who tried to tear you down that they become irrelevant. That was my next chapter. I started focusing on myself. I got back into shape. Nothing extreme, just steady workouts, better meals, cleaner living. I took up photography, something I had always enjoyed, but put aside during the marriage. I traveled. Small trips at first, then larger ones. I visited Colorado, hiked trails I used to only see on postcards. For the first time in years, I breathed freely. Friends started noticing the change. One even joked, "Man, divorce looks good on you." It wasn't the divorce, it was the truth. When you stop living a lie, everything feels lighter. Alicia still popped up occasionally. I'd hear from mutual friends that she was dating again, that things weren't going great, that she often talked about how she messed up the best thing she ever had. Maybe she did, but it wasn't my job to fix that for her. That chapter was closed. Then came something unexpected. Lisa, the wife of Derek, reached out to me. She sent a message saying thank you, not for exposing anything, but for helping her see clearly. She said that she, like me, had been in denial, believed in something that was never real. We ended up meeting for coffee just to talk. Lisa was sharp, resilient, and not interested in pity. She talked about rebuilding her life, about how betrayal doesn't end you, it remakes you. We ended up meeting again, and again. There was no rush, no pressure, just two people who'd been through fire and were now walking forward, not looking back. I didn't know what would come of it. I wasn't looking for love, but I did learn that healing is possible. That the best revenge isn't hurting someone who hurt you. It's building a life so full of peace and strength that they become a mere footnote in your story. And Alicia? She's just that now. A footnote, a warning sign, a lesson I'll never forget. Time has a strange way of softening everything, even betrayal, but it doesn't erase it. It just makes the sharp edges dull enough so you can live with them. A year passed since the divorce was finalized. I thought I would feel more broken, more cynical. But what I actually felt was free. Not just from Alicia, but from the version of myself that had settled for less than he deserved. There's a moment after everything falls apart when you realize you've been building on a foundation of sand. And that moment, if you survive it, becomes the start of everything real. Lisa and I kept in touch. What started as shared trauma turned into a quiet, mutual respect. We didn't force anything. There was no desperation, no attempts to fill a void. We just got each other. There's something deeply comforting about talking to someone who knows the exact weight you carry. You don't have to explain every detail, they already understand. We went hiking once in the fall. Crisp air, leaves crunching under our boots, and no distractions. She turned to me at one point and said, "Funny how the people who betrayed us thought we'd fall apart." I smiled and said, "Let them think whatever they want. We're still standing." And we were, stronger than ever. Meanwhile, Alicia's name became nothing more than an occasional whisper in my social circles. A few friends who hadn't picked sides reached out to her early on, tried to help her adjust. But even they eventually drifted away, not out of malice, just fatigue. It turns out people don't like being lied to either. She had a few short-lived relationships, or so I heard. None of them stuck. Maybe she was chasing something that didn't exist, or maybe she was running from something she couldn't admit about herself. Either way, it wasn't my problem anymore. Her name no longer made my stomach twist. She was just someone I used to know. Then, something unexpected happened. Alicia emailed me again, nearly 14 months after the divorce. It wasn't a long message, just a few lines. "Hi, Brian. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. I don't expect anything from you. I just wanted to say that I truly am. Sorry for all of it. I was lost, and I took it out on you. You didn't deserve what I did. I hope you're doing well." I stared at that email for a long time. There was a part of me that wanted to ignore it. Another part of me wanted to lash out, remind her of every lie, every moment she made me feel like a fool. But I didn't do either. Instead, I replied with a single sentence. "I forgive you, but that doesn't mean I want you back in my life." And I meant every word. Forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about setting yourself free. I didn't forgive her because she deserved it. I forgave her because I deserved peace. Carrying that anger was a weight I didn't want anymore. Let her carry her own consequences. Life moved on quietly and steadily. My career flourished. Without the emotional chaos Alicia brought, I could focus again. I got promoted to senior operations manager. I started mentoring younger employees, showing them the ropes. Not just about work, but about boundaries, self-worth, resilience. Things I had learned the hard way. As for Lisa and me, well, we found a rhythm. It wasn't a love story born out of sparks and cliches. It was something slower, sturdier, built on truth and earned trust. We took our time. There was no rush. Neither of us needed saving. We'd already done that for ourselves. We went out to dinner one night. Quiet restaurant. Soft music in the background. After dessert, she looked at me and said, "Do you ever wish it hadn't happened? That we'd never gone through any of it?" I thought about that for a moment. The pain, the anger, the betrayal. Then I looked at her and said, "No." Because if it hadn't happened, I'd still be living a lie. And I never would have met the person who showed me what honesty actually feels like. She smiled. Not the kind of smile people fake for photos or politeness. It was real. And I knew then that I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living. That, in the end, was the greatest revenge. Not making Alicia suffer. Not seeing Derek lose everything. No, the real revenge was becoming untouchable. Not bitter, better. Not colder, stronger. Not alone, whole. And if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, is that your response to betrayal defines you far more than the betrayal itself. You can let it break you, or you can let it reveal you. I chose the latter. Now, I wake up every day without resentment in my chest. I drink my coffee on the back porch, watch the sunrise, and know I've made it through the worst. And more importantly, I made it out clean. Not everyone gets that. Alicia threw away a good man. Derek gambled his whole life for a lie. Both of them were exposed, not by me but by their own choices. I just held up the mirror. As for me, I rebuilt, I redefined. And now I live a life that no one can take from me. And that, more than anything, is how I won.